are back with Better Pet Parenting, and this week we are going to speak to Divya from All Ears for Animals. Divya is a certified canine trainer as well as an animal communicator. Now, there's a slight difference between the two, and I'm going to let Divya take over and kind of explain. What we've got planned for this week's session is a fun chat around what animal communication really is and how you can use the principles to form a better bond with your animal, right? We're going to focus on dogs, but essentially this is something you could use for any animal, a pet animal that you have at home as well. We're also going to take a lot of questions from the audience. Some of you have already sent them in. And if you've got any questions at all throughout, please feel free to drop them in the question box as well. Awesome. I'm just going to invite Divya to join. Started. I see a lot of people are joining in as well. Hi, everybody. Hello. Hi, Divya. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good, guys.
I'm good as well. How are things at your end?
Everything's good, safe and sound. We're all happy and healthy, and we hope everyone who's watching this is also happy.
Yes. I think everybody in the country is going through a tough time, either watching somebody in the family or just going through tough times themselves as well.
Yeah.
And part of the reason we want to do this every week also is that at least it's some distraction, right, from everything that's happening around us. And what better way to do it than talking about dogs? So that's the kind of attitude we're taking with this as well. And thank you so much for taking out the time to do this. I'm sure things have been really busy at your end with everything now becoming online. I'm sure all your clients also have a lot more questions and just queries that they want you to kind of sort out for them because life has changed so much, right, in the last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's begin with what All Ears for Animals really is, right? How did you get started? What are you trying to do in this space?
Okay, so my name is Divya Sambhavani, and I'm a professional and a certified canine trainer and behaviorist. Okay. I'm also certified as an animal communicator. And when I had started training initially, I realized that there was a big gap between communicating with our dogs and our dogs. So that's when I realized that, what happens if we combine the two. Because as much as we learn how to give our dogs the command and our dogs will listen to us. But what happens when they don't listen? And what about the fact that we actually communicate to them that why should they listen to us? What is the reason for command? And that's when we realized that the dogs were much more receptive to listening to the commands because they knew there's a certain purpose to it. There's a certain reason why we are giving them a command. It's not because of treats. It's not because of fear of choke chains or anything like that. It is genuinely because they love us. So that is the reason why All Yours is all about listening. And to just share one example with you of how All Yours came into the picture. So it was actually because of my cat. So even when someone, so I always say that it's my cat Scarlett and I who co-founded All Yours for Animals. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. And we all owe our animals everything that we've got. And it so happened with her that, she started becoming very aggressive. She was just a small 6-month-old kitten. She's a rescue. And she started biting. Biting, I mean, like she's really nipping down people. She's scratching everyone and she's just refusing to, be gentle with. And that's when we got in touch with a communicator. I learned communication, help her in whichever way possible. And that's when she spoke to us and told us that you guys never listen to what I would want. What is it that I would like to do? Even the food that is being fed to me is something that you do according to your preference, according to your convenience. We never even ask our dogs or our cats that it's okay to give them home cooked food or whether they would like packaged food or what kind of food would they like. Everything we decide. So that's when I realized that just a simple task of listening to our animals changes the entire picture, changes a lot of things for our dogs. And that's when people also feel differently, they bond differently with their animals because now it becomes a two-way communication with our animals. So people so dogs are also happy, the animals are more willing to actually talk to us because they know. See, nobody in this world would not like to be heard. Everyone likes to express what they truly feel, and animals are no different. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why All Ears is called All Ears, because we are everything. We are all about listening, and even when we do our training sessions, we focus on listening to our animals. So commands only form a 20% of our training sessions, but the rest of the 80% is completely listening to our animals. Okay, why would they like to do the command? What is it that it's for them? And especially because we don't use any treats or we don't use any soap change to train. So why is the dog, what are the stakes involved for the dog? He needs to understand that, because it's very easy for me to show him, so you go this and you listen to the sit command. But what happens when I don't have a treat? Will he listen to me? That is the important question that we need to address. And then go on and realize what kind of training methods do we need to go for when we really want to bond with our dog. Okay.
Got it. And
So
I think, it's great that you gave that introduction, because there are so many follow-up questions in my mind that I definitely want to do. And we've kind of created a structure for this discussion as well. So let's start with that, right? First off, what do you mean when you say animal communication, right? You hear a lot of these things around communication and training, and Instagram is full of so much content around how to create a better bond with you. What is animal communication?
okay. So animal communication is nothing which is super spiritual or super fancy and you have to go into a meditation and do light guidance and all that. Please, that's not what it is. And it is as simple as you and I talking right now, where I just pick up, say, hi Garima, what's up? What today? What do you like to eat today? How's your life going? It's the same way where we are just sitting with our animals, but we're just asking them, like, what's up? What would you like? So that way, the dogs are much more answer because they know we are willing to listen to them. Okay, and they follow. So it's as simple as that. As simple as talking to our family, to our we're just asking them about their what is it that they would like from us. So exactly. So that is
Got
what
it.
active communication is in the simplest of the terms. Of
Right.
course, there are workshops that you can do to learn communication if you'd like to go deeper. But what we say is, there are simple tools also that you can just pick up and learn. It's for people sometimes who are very skeptical in terms of does it work? So for those people, yes, yeah. But we say it's very easy. It's something that you can just sit with. And I'm sure he'll, why will he not? He's your dog after all. Why would he not to you?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, what struck me as striking, right, when we first had our conversation as well, is that you talk about this being a way of creating a partnership with your animal, right, with your pet, that you're kind of partnering with your dog to get to a desired goal. Uh, right? And what struck me was that at the heart of it, essentially what you're drawing upon is empathy, right? You're saying that can you try to see this situation from your dog's eyes, right? Can you try to understand what your dog is probably going through when you're doing that, right? And it's interesting
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you mentioned that sometimes people think that it is overly spiritual and it is all of these things as well. But if you actually get into the works of people like Dr. Alexandra Horowitz, who's
Yeah.
basically done this whole dog research lab, and she's written a million books about what dogs actually think and how they
Mm-hmm.
behave. It's exactly
Yeah,
that, right? Trying to understand the dog's perspective, right? Trying to
yeah,
understand that there are a million years of evolution that have gone into the dogs becoming who they are.
yeah,
And I just think that this is another shade to that, right? We don't really understand everything there is to the relationship that we have. And people talk about how it's an unspoken bond, right? How it is a relationship that you can't really define, because no matter what you are kind of doing, right? Simplest of examples, if I accidentally step on my dog Sriracha's paw, right, I feel
yeah,
so guilty about it. But she'll forget about it, right, in 5 minutes, because to her it is, I'm not doing it out of whatever malice or whatever else. And that's so pure, right? You won't ever have that with any other human being or any other relationship that you have in your life.
Yeah.
And I feel that it at the core of it, it is essentially drawing on that relationship. Is that what it is?
Yes, exactly. So basically, when we say animal communication, it's not just telepathic communication that we're talking about. Sure, telepathic is just one part of it. But there are so many
Hmm.
different ways of how animals talk to each other, how animals talk to us. Even if they don't
Right.
have a language per se, that how humans talk to each other, but they still have a lot of other things, right? They'll speak through their verbals, which is, they'll bark, they'll growl, they'll wail. They'll do all these things. They have their body language. We'll see when the ears are behind or whether the ears are perked up, whether the tail
Correct.
is tucked or the tail is wagging. This is all body language talking to us. And
Yeah.
lastly, of course, gestures. When our dog, they hit us with their front paw for our attention, or they'll come and then they'll just look at us with their puppy eyes. All of these are different gestures that they're trying to say something to us. So when
Yeah.
we say animal communication, it need not always fall into the category of telepathic, but just observing their body language. And how is it that we can
Absolutely.
use their language to let them know of what is expected out of them? See, training does
Hmm.
not mean that you're making your dog do a couple of tricks where he does a rollover, he does a spin, he does a namaste, and that's training and he gets a treat. No, training,
Yeah.
that those are fun things, those are performance based, which have no
Yeah.
particular purpose apart from entertainment. But here,
Correct.
when we say training, we are actually helping our dog understand that at the time of emergency or at the time of need, we would want you to listen to us anytime, anywhere, no matter what. That is
Hmm.
what is training. And if we
Right.
do a rollover, where are we using it? It is only entertainment based. But when we teach them obedience commands, your sit, down, your stay, your come, these are all recall commands. When we're teaching them, we're using it at the time of need. So that way we are communicating with our animal. We're telling him that, buddy, I know better. At this time, I would want you to go down and I want you to stay exactly where you are because there is something I need to deal with as a pack leader. And he
Right.
understands that because he knows that in training, he has learned that we are the ones who make the decision. We are the ones who are pack leaders. So he trusts us. So he is actually okay with instilling his trust, one, and two, letting go of his safety and security in our hands. He's actually placing them in our hands and saying, I trust you and I respect you because I know you know better. That is what training is. Because that's when you're combining communication and training, and you are actually explaining to your dog about what is acceptable and what is not. That is it. So that's why communication is very important.
Understood. And I think it makes complete sense, right? A lot of times, what happens is that people think, and I've made the mistake as well, right? The first time I got my first dog, I'm from Chandigarh, right? And there wasn't at that time a lot of this knowledge around training and education and communication. Now,
Mhm.
uh, we had one of those people who come and say, Acha, we'll take your dog for a walk and I'll teach him namaste and I will train, right? We didn't know, Acha, ye hota hai. We just thought, okay, this is something you have to do. But what you realize is that actually training is and communication is not something that somebody else will come and do for you, right? It is a bond that
Absolutely.
you create with your dog, right? Which is what you're talking about as well, right? It's a two-way street. It's
Yeah.
not just you teaching them these things. It is ultimately earning their respect and using it wisely to kind of guide them in the best way possible, right? So
Absolutely.
like we discussed, right? So basically, it comes down to creating that bond. Now, for everybody who's going to watch this video as well, how do you use animal communication to create, a really good bond with your dog, right? What are things that people can practice on a daily basis to get there?
Hmm. Yeah. So, one thing that we say first is that help your dog understand why you want him to do something. Okay, because then he will get it, and then he will he'll want to follow it because he knows that there is some purpose behind it. And don't use
Hmm.
any treats or don't use any choke chains to scare him or anything like that. Because
Hmm.
see, as much as we try to humanize our dogs, we sometimes make them wear clothes, we make them wear these clips and all, which dogs don't do to each other. But sometimes we end up doing, we try to humanize them. But when it comes to training, if we use such kind of methods, where I would say to my child, I would say that here's a chocolate, do your homework. And the child is only doing the homework because of the chocolate, not because of the fact that, he feels that this is going to help him at some point in his life. So the same way,
Hmm.
uh, we would want our dog to understand that just because I'm giving you a treat, you shouldn't listen. You should listen because it's me who's giving you the command, and trust me when I'm saying it.
Okay.
So that's why
Yeah.
even when we train dogs, we train them how one dog trains another. So, dogs will use
Okay.
their verbal commands, they'll use their hand gesture, body gestures, they'll use their body language, they'll use all of these things to train each other. So, the
Hmm.
same thing we use. So, even when
Okay.
you're training, I would urge pet parents to really think about whether treats are really the way to go, and
Hmm.
whether the dog is only listening to you because you're holding a treat, or whether because it's you. So tomorrow, anyone else who would show him the treat, he'll do it, right? And tomorrow, if you don't even have a treat, he won't listen to you. So
Hmm.
both ways, you're facing a loss. So that's why we don't
Got it.
involve treats only. And
So,
even when
uh,
we
yeah.
train, even when you go in for training as a pet parent, it's very important for you to learn the command and for you to master and understand the logic behind the command, and then
Hmm.
communicate with your dog based on why you want him to listen to that command. That's why we train pet parents to train their dog. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's very easy for us as professionals to, take 5 minutes out, train the dog will master it. But it's like how a child goes to school, listens wonderfully to the teacher, comes back home and does a lot of masti. So same thing, it will happen with the dogs. He won't listen at the right time. So when we
Correct.
train our dogs also, learn how to train him yourself, master it, become the pack leader. See, for a dog, there's no concept of a dog trainer or a training
Yeah.
center. He doesn't understand all these things. He just thinks, oh yeah, he's going out, he's getting to explore someone, meeting a new person is coming and giving him commands. So he's also a little confused as to who is this person, why is he telling me to sit? Okay, fine, he's holding a treat, so I'll sit. But when the parent says it, there's a reason behind it. And if there is
Correct.
something like, if you're in the lift, a sit, sometimes people just use sit performance based. But I say, why can't you implement sit in your daily life? If you're in the lift and you live on the 30th floor, by the time you reach from the 30th to the ground floor, your dog would have already jumped on certain amount of people. Every time the lift opens, he's barking, he's trying to jump, and you're just, going crazy with your dog. What if you give him a sit command? He patiently sits there, waits the lift to open at the ground floor, and then he moves with you. That's where you have imbibed the sit. You've imbibed the obedience command in daily life and not used it performance based. So that's
Yeah.
what we're saying in terms of how pet parents should recognize where can they use this obedience commands and how to use it optimally. Okay.
Understood. And I think that makes a lot of sense as well, right? So if you're teaching a command, it should be something that you can also use when you need it, right? So like you said,
Absolutely.
the lift example is a good one. Or if, I mean, when I try to use it with my dog is, when I see that she's, when we're on the road, for example, right? There's a truck passing by, there's not even enough space. So I tell her to sit and stay. So then at least I'm sure that she's not going to run and suddenly
Absolutely.
become,
Yeah.
roadkill,
Yeah.
basically. But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I have one follow-up question, right? You said that you work and you train dogs in the same way that dogs would train them, right? Through body language, through gestures. How does that work, right? For something like a sit, how does that work? If
Okay.
you could give a
So
little
have
bit of
you,
a hmm.
yeah, sure. So have you seen how mother dogs train their puppies right from day one? So this actually reminds me of one more question that is very common in every pet parent who calls and asks us that, what is the age of training a puppy? So that's when I say that there is no certain age. You train him from day one. You'll see how a mother dog trains her puppies to the level of them respecting her and not to try mess with her. How if she is sleeping and they really want to, they're hungry and they want to have milk. So how if they come and disturb her, she lets out a slight growl, right? She tells him, don't even bother to come close. And then that puppy is instantly, he's sitting like that, right? He's just completely stationary. So the mother asks the child to back off and gives him a sit command. And that's when he sits. So for dogs, sit means very different. We put our bum on the ground and we say, okay, this is sit. But for dogs, it's very different. It means half
Yeah.
submission. You'll see how a bigger dog will come and tower over a smaller dog. The puppy will do this. He'll go on his belly. He'll come like this. So those are all down, sit. They're doing all these full
Correct.
submission, half submission. How do they do that? No mother dog shows a treat and says, here, take a treat, go say, play somewhere else, don't try to disturb me. She'll tell him, you better understand what I'm trying to say.
So the same
Yeah.
thing we are doing. And when we say
Yeah.
become a pack leader, we don't mean that you have to be dominating to your dog. A mother dog or a pack leader is never dominating. They're just assertive and they're very patient. So you'll see they'll
Right.
maintain this personality also, and the dog will want to respect the pack leader. They respect their mother. Okay, so that is
Yeah.
what we're saying in terms of sit also. They use all of these hand gestures, they use their body language. When one dog towers over the other one sits. Okay, so even if you go on our Instagram page, we've uploaded a couple of videos of how dogs are doing the sit command without a treat. So if any of you who are watching, if you go to our All Yours for Animals Instagram page, you will see many, and none of those commands are done by our team. They are done by the parent themselves, and most of the times that video is taken in the first 1 hour of them doing the command. So it's not like it's a
Hmm.
lifelong practice that 3 months later finally the dog has learned. Otherwise, treat ke saath you just keep doing this, and then you give the hand and do all of those things. It takes a very long time. This is a 5 minute thing.
Got it. So I think what I'm taking away is a couple of things, right? One
Hmm.
is, of course, like you said, it depends on the kind of bond you have, right? So I'm
Yeah,
guessing a lot of the work that you do with people is getting them to create that bond as well, right? If they're not there yet, right? Trying to get
yeah,
them to understand their dog better and communicate and understand their body language in a way that you form that bond first, right? Because once you have a bond, then it is so much easier to kind of do these commands, right? Because then what you're doing is you are using that bond to tell them that this is a situation in which I want you to back away or sit or
yeah,
whatever else, right?
yeah, exactly.
Great. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool, and I think that's something that actually doesn't get documented as well, right? Even when you speak about treat-based training, right? A lot of the unsaid part is the fact that it really depends on what your bond is like, right? If you have
Absolutely.
a bond that which is basically that your dog doesn't trust you or doesn't want to spend time with you, right? Or if you are not really giving them that attention, then why would they anyway do something that you would want them to do, right? And I think that
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
I think what we can maybe do is take some of the questions. There's one
sure.
question in the chat itself, right? Can this be implemented with a 1.3-year-old dog?
Absolutely. See, age doesn't matter at all. I adopted my dog Zoe when she was 6 years old from a shelter,
Hmm.
and she's a rescue and she's been through a lot in life, but still she's more open to listening. And
Yeah,
when I helped her understand why I want her to do certain things, why I'm teaching her the down command, why am I teaching her the stay command, and then she listens beautifully and she knows exactly why I'm giving it in the situation. She gauges my body language also. Whether is she going to be okay. So if I am stressed out and I'm telling my dog, no, no, stay, 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 my dog will never listen because he knows
yeah,
I am stressed out. So there's something he needs to help me with. But if I'm very calm and composed and I give her a stay, she'll be more open to listening. She's like, okay, this one's pretty sorted. She knows exactly what she's doing. So that
yeah.
it makes a very big difference on how we are giving the command also, rather than
Right.
what the age is of the dog. Because and as I said, right, the mother dog starts from day one of her puppy. So we've trained 13-year-old dogs also. That's fine. Absolutely okay.
Yeah, and I think that's it's a very important point actually that you bring up is that people under probably a lot of us don't understand how much our emotions have to do with this as well, right? And that's where you spoke about patience and how you have to be calm first, right? I have
Yeah.
noticed definitely that the difference between my partner taking Sriracha for a walk and me taking Sriracha for a walk is that when he gets a little stressed when he sees another dog on the road, he'll kind of get a little wary that okay, she's going to bark, and then she will
Yeah.
invariably end up barking as well.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, what I've realized is I kind of keep talking to her and I'll take her to the side and I'll ignore that dog, so she'll also end up ignoring. And I don't know
Absolutely.
if
Yeah.
this is what it is, right? That your
Yeah.
emotions and how you are managing yourself also end up influencing
Yeah.
their behavior.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I
And
think
your fear,
yeah,
your grip will also tense on the leash. So both of you are holding two ends of the leash, right? So the moment your
correct.
partner tenses his grip on the leash, she senses that instantly. So she's like, "Oh, I'm supposed to get stressed because the grip just tensed." So that's the message that you give your dog, without even
Right,
realizing.
right.
So that's
Yeah,
what
and I think
happens.
awesome. Another question that actually had come up was around fear, right? There are some dogs that obviously develop some kind of fear and then it translates into aggression. How would you treat something like that, or how would you teach the pet parent to manage that?
Yeah, see, a lot of times people call us and tell us my dog is very aggressive. You know, my dog is just suddenly
Hmm.
become aggressive. But this is such a strong, it's such a strong term that we use very, very casually. And we
Yeah.
don't realize that, the brevity of the situation when we say the word aggressive. See, if your dog really
Hmm.
had to be aggressive, he would make sure that nobody in the family is spared and he would bite everyone. And for some sort of context for the people who are watching, if you ever see your dog chewing a bone, you know exactly how his teeth work, right? It's like a carrot. So if he really wants to hurt us, he knows exactly how to do it. But there's a reason
Yeah.
he's not doing it. So
Hmm.
most of the times, rather all of the times, when he is acting aggressive or that certain behavior is coming up, he's just trying to tell us something. And if we
Yeah.
train him, yes, sure, training is important, but if we train him with, we teach him this command, that command, don't do it, no, no, whatever, what happens is you're suppressing the problem. It'll be a temporary
Right.
solution. A command is just a temporary solution because for that moment he realizes. But again, his aggression or whatever problem he was facing has been suppressed. So if you keep
Hmm.
suppressing it with commands, one day it's going to blast out, and that's going to be a really bad day. So we always say
Yeah.
start with communication. Start with understanding what is the actual problem with your dog. To give you
Right.
a very simple solution that you can do yourself also is first identify the symptoms and then identify the cause. See, the symptoms are usually attacking random people, barking when the doorbell rings. These are all the common ones. Random food aggression, resource guarding. These could be possible symptoms. But what is the cause? So, what is your dog trying to tell you? Maybe he's trying to tell you, I'm very scared when new people enter my territory. Maybe he's saying that I'm really insecure whether, I don't know whether someone's coming to attack me and how will I take care of myself. So it's not aggression. Most of the times it's fear and insecurity that is coming up
Right.
masked as aggression. Okay,
Right.
so when we solve that problem just by listening to our animals and by letting them know that we love them, we care for them, and we are here to protect them, is when they'll do it. See, because if they live in the wild, they're they're amazing there, right? Because they are born to be in that place. They're going to thrive because their senses are heightened. They can hear things, they can see things, they know exactly how to hunt, they know exactly how to protect themselves, take care of themselves. Here it's a city life. They are super confused what to do. First of all, what is a lift? For them, they don't understand how we go into an electronic device. They don't understand why the dogs downstairs are barking and howling, and how can they participate in that competition. They don't know, suddenly in their territory, which is supposed to be the safe spot, suddenly there are random five strangers coming in for dinner. How is that normal, and why is my human okay with that? So we don't tell them what is happening, so they end up just doing random things out of their puppy brain. It's only when we tell them, we speak to them about the littlest of the things, is when they are more open to understanding what city life actually is. And that's why we should become a pack leader. That's why we should be the ones in charge, because then we tell
Yeah.
our dogs what is okay, what is not okay, what is a threat, what is not a threat. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense as well because I mean, what at the core of it, basically, what it is that you have to understand that when you get a dog, there will be obviously some things that you have to teach the dog, right? So things
Hmm.
like these are the rules of the house, and you have to adhere to these. But it cannot just be a one-way street, right? You're getting another being into your home, so you have to make some allowances as well, right? And it's a long journey. It's a 15, 18 year, hopefully, journey that you will be on, and
Yeah.
I think one thing that definitely will help is having patience to understand what they're going
Yeah.
through and to kind of take that time to teach them that this is what I want you to do in these situations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of people have very specific questions. I would actually suggest that these are actually some things that will take time to explain. And I mean, I would suggest that you actually DM Divya or me, and we'll help you kind of get out of this situation, like cutting
Yeah.
chai and Mark, because there'll be very
I just
specific for us
Yeah.
to cover in this chat.
Yeah. There
Um,
was this one question that I
yeah.
actually wanted to answer about crate training.
Huh.
He's asked us that, Girish has asked us that, and
Yeah.
he's asked for his beagle. But I would just want to comment on crate training. Is that even at all years, we don't do crate training or playpen training or muzzle training for that matter, because every
Okay.
time we put our dogs in a crate, See, this is very important for us to understand because this is also related to animal communication. We are subconsciously talking to our dog. And we put telling our we're telling our dogs, I don't trust you. You know, that's why I'm putting you in a crate because I'm not sure when I leave you out, what is it that you can do. But what if we actually train our dogs to tell them that this is off limits, this you can do, no problem. So then he understands, okay, no problem. I have been told exactly what can be done, what cannot be done. It's like telling a child, right? That when you go to school, this is the kind of behavior that you need to have. When people come home, this is what you need to do. So when they do wrong behavior, the dogs do wrong behavior, you correct them so that they know better. And when they do right behavior, you reward them. So this way, they are okay with understanding the rules of the house. They are following because there's guidance and direction in the house. So no need of crate training, no need of playpen training, because again, it's an enclosure for your dog. Would we like to be there? So if anytime someone asks me that, can you do choke chain training for my dog? Can you do crate training for my dog? I always tell them that why don't you build yourself a crate or or get a choke chain home, wear it for one night and ask your partner to choke on it every time you make a mistake, or live in the crate and ask everybody in your family to give you your best kind of toys, best kind of food, everything that you love. Would you be okay with it? You know, some people say that, no, I'll put the best toys. My dog loves the crate. Does he really though? Would you really love the crate? So
Yeah.
it's very important for us to understand that and look at it from our dog's perspective. Only when we can trust him can he trust us, right? So the narrative should be that I trust you wholeheartedly to know what is better, because I know you respect me and you love me. So this is what
Got it.
I can assure you that I'm going to give you all the freedom in the world, provided you listen to me when the time comes. This is what we need to tell our dogs. Not that I'm going to create you and let you be there just for my own safety and make sure my expensive furniture or my super expensive shoes do not get destroyed.
Understood. So you're talking about using crate training as a way to kind of confine your dog. That's not something that you would recommend
Yeah, because what is the
for people to
purpose
kind
of
of do.
crate training? Yeah. To put it very
Yeah.
simply, ask your dog, would he like to be crate trained? That's what animal communication is. Ask your dog, would he be okay with it? And then you stay yourself, and then let us know if you're okay with it. So it's just about,
Yeah.
I always say, whatever you're giving your dog, try it on yourself also and see if you're okay with it. Like even serving pedigree or serving any kind of packaged food, would we eat that? If as long as we are okay with eating that, if we are non-vegetarians, everything in the ingredients is something that we also consume. So then why not have that? What is the difference? So it's one thing that it's about just putting us also in the picture and sharing that perspective with them. You know, it's like you become your dog and you ask yourself, what is it that I would like to do? So these are just fun experiments that we do in communication also.
There are people putting choke collars in your glasses. Is that happening?
No, not at all. So,
No, I thought you're telling the pet parents to put the choke collar on. That'll be a funny group picture.
yeah, I tell them, please see, with humans we don't spare. For dogs we don't dare. So you can put it, try, see what it's like, because a lot of people promote it. So why not go for it and see what happens?
Yeah. No, I think makes a lot of sense. And I think crate training, but I mean, the only thing is that crate training for some situations then becomes useful as well, right? Like when you're traveling, if you have to take an international flight and if you relocate with your dog, then of course you have to kind of
Yes,
do it,
that's different. So
right?
then,
So
yeah,
those are
that's different. So
functional
that is a special
situations.
type of training. And also, you're
Yeah.
telling your dog, right? There's a reason why I'm putting you in the crate, because of this reason. But you would have always seen some dogs who very wonderfully even fly in cabin. Why is that? It's because they know what it is, what it's like to listen and to trust the human. So that's the difference. That's it.
Got it. Cool. I think it'll be really cool to end with this one question that I thought was a very nice philosophical almost question, right? Which was
Hmm.
that somebody asked, how do I know if my dog is happy? Right?
Hmm.
How do you answer that question? I don't think enough of us stop to pause and think about it every day, but how do you know that?
I just feel that simply ask our dog. That's as basic as that. It's like if I want to know whether you as Garima are really happy, I wouldn't
Hmm.
go ask a third person and be like, "Do you think Garima is really happy?" would I not come to you and be like, hey Garima, are you happy? That's it, right? And you would be like, yes, yeah, why not? Or whatever. Or tell me if you're not, But at least I am asking you. And even when we ask our dogs, it's very important to understand what kind of question are we framing. It's like talking to a child, right? If a child makes a mistake and you say, why did you do this? Of course, the child is going to get defensive and be like, no, no, I didn't do it. But if you sit with the child and you ask him, is there a reason for you to behave this way? What is it that you're trying to tell us when you do this? The child will be more open to talking to you, will be more open to accepting your presence, and would like to speak about what he's really feeling. So even with our animals, it's a good thing that you asked this question. So I would urge every person who's watching this to just have like a small notebook with you. You can call it like my dog's name is Zoe, so I call it the Zoe journal, where I would just write everything that about Zoe. What is it that she likes, what does she not like, what are the quirks about her, how is it, what are the things that she likes to do in the day, what is she trying to say to me, and all of these things. So even like to share a short example with you. So what happens is that a lot of times people, when like my dog for example started randomly peeing in the house, okay, and it was quite funny because she's very well trained and she doesn't usually do this. And every morning we would wake up to like a pool of pee, and I was just like super annoyed because why is this, that's not the first thing you want to step in when you wake up. And as a trainer, I thought I could put in like a lot of techniques. I would explain to her, use this, that, use, the dog training techniques to do it. But I was like, you know what, let me not do any of that. Let me just sit with her and really understand why is she doing this, because she knows very well where to pee and where not to pee. So there's definitely a reason behind this. And when we actually sat with her, it just took less than 5 minutes because I didn't have my phone, I didn't have any distractions. I just sat with her with my book and I was just there with her. I was in the same presence as her. And I just asked her, is there a reason you're doing this? What are you trying to tell me? And that's when we realized that because of her blood test platelets coming really low, the doctor asked us to increase her water intake and, add in a little extra meal at night. So my mom would give her one more meal at 11:30 in the night, and her walk time was 10 p.m. So because of that, she couldn't really handle her pee, which, something was out of the ordinary, and then she would end up peeing at 3 a.m. And only when we shifted a little things here, there, and we realized that, oh, it wasn't that she was doing it intentionally. She was just doing it because the extra meal was added to her. We just changed that, and since then, not even once has she peed. So most times these behavioral issues that come up with our dog, or these certain concerns that come up, most of them can be solved just by listening to our animals. That is it. And
Got it.
commands, yes, they form the 20% of it to help them understand certain things. But listening is the rest of the 80%.
Yeah. There's somebody asking, how do you listen? And I would want to attempt to answer that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But what I'm taking away from this is listening is not like you literally sit and you are listening to the dog telling you, right? It is also sitting in that moment and focusing on what is your dog going through, right? What has changed in their routine? What has happened that is possibly creating this change in behavior as well, right? Like you said, with your dog, there was a change, right? There was a change that she was getting a meal later in the night. Her walk was earlier. She probably couldn't hold it for that long, right? In the morning, because her bladder can only hold so much pee. And that came to you because you spent that time with your dog to actually focus on what the problem was and why it was probably happening, right? Am I correct? Is that what listening is?
Yeah. Absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely. And I'm really happy that you were all ears to this communication because you got it exactly perfectly. So that's what it is. It's about being honest to
because I feel
everyone
like
around us.
correct. I feel like a lot of, there's a lot of cloud around communication, which is I'm really glad that we did this session as well, because people tend to assume that listening ka matlab is the same listening that you do with humans, right? Which is why, that thing, ki, Acha, how is my dog going to tell me and how am I going to tell my dog? It's essentially how you would communicate with somebody who doesn't speak the same language, right? You will find some way to do it. If you go to Spain, for example, and you don't speak Spanish, you will still understand that, okay, if I have to go to the washroom, I have to make certain gestures and I will be pointed in the right direction, right?
Absolutely,
it's like talking to somebody who doesn't speak the same language and maybe has senses that are more heightened than yours, so they understand things better. in some ways.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I
I
think
feel
we
like it's
should,
a translation thing more than it
yeah,
is a spiritual and
yeah,
divine thing. I'm sure there's a level to that as well, and I'm definitely
yeah.
not qualified to comment on that.
Hmm.
But
No,
yeah,
no,
that's
I
what
think we
I'm
should,
taking away.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think we should learn from our animals the best, you know. How is it that they have adapted? Even though they're staying in a house full of humans where they are the only dog, how is it that they're so well versed with communicating with us without even, learning it? Like they didn't go for classes to speak to humans, but they're so smart. Like, you know, they look at us and we know, oh, he needs to pee. Oh, he needs to do this. Oh, he's hungry. How do we know that? That's our instinct. Okay, that
yeah,
is coming up. So same way, that's how we speak to our dogs, speak to our animals, and there's no rocket science behind it. Okay,
yeah.
so
And
yeah,
thank you so much for taking our time to do this, Divya. I think this has been definitely eye and ear opening for me. I just wanted to crack that joke. But oops,
yeah,
my Siri is talking. I don't know why. But she's also listening. But
yeah,
thank you so much for doing this. This was a great discussion, and hopefully,
yeah,
everybody who watches will also benefit from this.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, we'll stay in touch
yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Sure. And thank you so much for having me. And I'm really happy to see, everyone asking these questions, which just shows that how much people are willing to help their dogs, help their animals. And it just shows the kind of love that they have towards them. So
yeah,
that's just amazing to see. And if any of you would like a specific behavioral consultation or training for your dogs, you can definitely get in touch with us at All Ears for Animals. We have our Instagram page. We're called allearsforanimals.com. Just check our website. You'll be able to understand how we actually focus on listening. We even have podcasts on Spotify which is called All Ears for Animals. So there we have varied topics that we focus on: how to listen to our animals, how to trust them, how to gain their trust, how to understand what kind of self-talk they have. So what are our animals thinking about throughout the day. It's not just treats and toys. There's so much more that goes inside their brain. So we've kind of cracked that code and put it out there, so you guys can check it out. And yes, I'm just really happy to see people willing to be all ears to their animals. So yeah, thank you so much.
yes. Thank you.
All right, bye, have a great day.
Bye.